Hello YouTube, this is Steven with On My Way to FIRE, a channel about early retirement and all things investing. And in today's video topic, I want to talk about taking a loss and how I mentally prepare. So, as investors, we don't always get it right. And, I've taken this approach to basically average into positions. And instead of dumping in thousands of dollars at one time, I just make small purchases. And I like to have some diversification in my portfolio and just buy some different things that are in different asset classes. So they're affected by different situations with the economy, with geopolitics and all that kind of stuff. So I have two examples here. These aren't suggestions for you to buy them at all or anything like that, but it's just for illustration purposes. And, these are kind of like an okay C minus situation, all things considered, but just to give you some insight into how I approach it. So the first one I want to talk about is the ILTB. This is the long-term bond fund. It's performed pretty bad. I started buying this in 2021, and the average price at that time was around $70. But what I was doing is just putting in $8 to $15 at a time, and over the course of a few months, eventually I would, accumulate a share or two. So, it's really not that much money at the moment, but I think I have somewhere around 8.5 to 9 shares. But the value is currently at I think $45 or $46 a share. So it's gone down quite a bit. So what I like to do is just keep buying somewhere between $6 and $10 every month, no matter what. And if I have a little bit of extra cash, go ahead and buy a little more. And I've been able to get the average price down. I think at the beginning of this year, my price cost basis was around $55. And now I'm currently down to 53 and change, like 53.15, something like that. So it's going to take some time, but I'm going to keep buying this fund, even though it's kind of crappy. The dividend on it is only like $1.50 a month. And at the moment, if I were to sell it, I would get just below $500. So the return, I would take a loss somewhere around 60 bucks, 50 bucks, something like that. So I'm trying to not take the loss, but at the same time, average down and get my cost basis. And what I'm thinking is if the interest rates do get cut, the bond will rise a little bit, and I can get out pretty much close break even pricing. I have been receiving dividends all this time, but again, I'm getting something like between $8 and $15 a year in dividends. It's just not even worth it. And I just want to get out of that position because that money's just been tied up essentially and not doing anything, and what I like to call dead money. It's not doing anything for me. So, it's going to take some time, but I'm going to keep buying probably through October or early November. And I have to keep in mind for the wash sale rule. And again, I'm not an accountant or tax professional, but I looked up some basic information, and I would suggest you do this as well to see if this applies to your situation. But what you can do is you have to stop buying it for a period of 30 days. So if I stop buying it around October 15th, October 20th, I plan on selling it somewhere around December 1st to December 10th. I can capture the loss for the year. Let's say it's $30 at that point. I get the dividends for the next little period, and I can carry that $30 loss to apply to my gains on other stocks. And so, it's kind of a small grind to try to get an extra 25 or 30 bucks out of, what I have at the moment. But I think that's going to be the plan. Just keep trying to average down, see if I can get the price somewhere near $51. And if we get interest rate cuts, and it seems like it's possible, I may just wait until next year. But ultimately, I want to get rid of this fund either at break even or as close as possible. So I just have to be mindful not to keep buying it before that window when I want to sell it. So I want to give myself somewhere around 35 to 40 days to be safe from the last purchase price before I start selling it. And then at that point, I want to be looking for a little surge. And if it gets around $51 to $55, you better believe I'm going to be selling that fund and get rid of it. And that way I can get about $560 or, whatever it is at that time. So it's been a bit of a bust, but it could have been worse. And, just lesson learned. I thought that having diversification with bonds would be good, and it ended up being pretty bad. And the second one that I have that I want to highlight here is Clorox. Now, this company did great during COVID, and the shares were over $200 at one point. So when I saw it get into the 170 to 165 range, I started buying. And it really has gone through a difficult period. And I think the one thing that I'm seeing is it's related to generic brands like at Costco and Walmart and Sam's Club. You have their Kirkland or their Members Mark brands, Great Value. People are buying that in lieu of the name brand because it's cheaper. And although the product may actually be sourced by these big companies like Clorox, I'm not sure if they do, make any of these products, but just as an example, it's usually made by a major manufacturer behind the scenes, but the market share is just dropping and dropping year after year. So, I was smart enough at least to sell some of it at one point, and I was able to actually capture some profit on it. But what I have left, I have about $4,000 left in Clorox in one of my accounts, and so I want to get rid of that completely. But at the moment, it's not holding up. It's had a little bit of a bounce off $95 to $90, and we're back into the 105 to 110 range. But ultimately, I want to get rid of that one. But at the moment, I'm at like over a 20% loss. So it hurts pretty bad to see this loss of about $800. So it's just going to take some time to get rid of these shares. But on that one, I pretty much stopped buying for the moment. But any dips, I want to keep buying too. And I'm thinking next year or at the end of this year, if I'm anywhere around 15% or less on the loss, I might just realize the loss to offset other stocks and use that money to pay down my loan. And at least I can, save money on the interest. So anyway, I hope this video helped you. You're not going to get every stock pick right, and it just takes a lot of time and energy to, manage a lot of shares. And at some point, it might not just be worth it for you to do it. Now, keep in mind, what I'm talking about here is all related to a taxable brokerage account. You cannot realize a loss and offset your taxes in a retirement account. So if you're interested in this kind of information, please consult a tax attorney or, review this with your own, searching on Google and ChatGPT and get that information. But, it's something that I haven't really done because I don't like realizing losses. I did it one time a few years ago because I was really in desperate need of cash because I was just running low and I didn't have credit at the time to pull from. So it's not something I like to do. I can generally have the luxury to wait it out. And, in some respects, I still have that ability right here to wait it out a little longer. But as we get to the end of the year, I want to make a decision and actually start doing this a little bit more frequently. And if I can get a loss of somewhere between $500 to $1,000 on my taxes, that would be great. One last thing I'll leave you with here is generally you can realize as much loss as you want, but you can only apply, I believe, around $3,000 a year. So anything beyond that would be carried over to the next few years if you had more. So do your own research and see if this applies to you. But taking a loss, it's going to happen. For all these ones that I get a 20 and 50% gain, occasionally you're going to have some that just do nothing or just don't come back. So hope you appreciated the video. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.